And I'm here today with Mark Fries. He is from the Special Needs Planning Group from Merrill Lynch. He's going to share some information with us. I'll let him take over. Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome. Thank you, Jessica. Everybody's hopefully home and healthy. Lots of people working from home like we are today. So we're going to talk about some information that's helpful for families with special needs. We've been doing this now for about 33 years. I have personal experience. My son is now 24 with autism. So a lot of things you're feeling and going through, I've been through, or I'm going to be going through if you have older children. One of the main points is there are different pillars for special needs planning, and we call them the pillars because they're very important and they have to be taken care of, and you have to look at each one of them. So government benefits is the first one. Where can you get help? What sources of money are available? What about legal planning? Should your will and power of attorney be different? What about guardianship? What about special needs trust? Things like that. We'll talk about that. Family communication. It's very important everybody understands what the situation is. It's very important you have a contingency plan. One of the biggest difference for families with special needs in comparison to families that don't have them is that guess what? Our child will still be there when we're gone. In a lot of cases, they can't work on their own or even handle things on their own, so they'll need help. So family communication is very important. And the last one where we kind of tie it all together is financial planning, making sure there's a big number you're going to be thinking about is what happens if you're gone? Is there enough money left over for your child with special needs? What about government benefits? So where can you get government benefits? How do they work? There's SSI, there's SSDI, there's Medicaid, there's Medicare, so there's lots of different benefit programs available. Most of them come due when the child is of legal age, 18. And so that's kind of a magic age to start thinking about applying for it. We can help you if you're not sure how to do it. Certainly a specialist lawyer can do that as well. Also, there's education. What about Medicaid waivers? There's waiver programs which are offered that will cover lots of different things. There's a DOORS program in DC that covers employment training. There's local benefits. A lot of nonprofit organizations, I sit on a number of their boards, have mini grants. They have home share programs. There's lots of different things that are out there. So our job is to kind of be, we call ourselves a quarterback of your advocacy team. We're there to really help you and guide you to the different resources that are available. Legal planning, I'm not going to talk a lot about it because I'm guessing you probably have a lawyer that is in this meeting too that's going to discuss a little bit more. But wills, trusts, and special needs trusts are all very, very important. These documents are different for families with special needs. You need to make sure you have them because if you don't have a will or don't have a power of attorney, the state can make your decisions on where your assets go and who takes care of your child. And I can tell you as a parent, nobody wants that, right? We want to be able to make sure we know what's going to happen and where they're going in the right place. Special needs trusts are a way to basically obtain government benefits and still have money, because the rules for getting Medicaid benefits and Social Security benefits are still very old and archaic. And so the rules are that you can only have up to $2,000 in the child's name. So a lot of times when we're talking to a prospective new person that wants to come on board, we have lots of conversations about where your assets are, how they're titled. All those are very important. Tax planning is very important as well. We want to make sure that everything is done tax efficiently. And then there's guardianship. What happens with your child when they reach legal age? You want to make sure that they still have help and guidance. In my son's situation, he still needed guidance, so there's guardianship. There's also alternatives to guardianship, which we can discuss with you individually if you're interested. Family communication is really, really important. My daughter, who is 25, honestly does not want to have to deal with her brother. And so that's an important conversation to have in a family. And so we kind of know what that is, but she's only 25, so maybe in a few years things will change. But this is a very common situation we see. Who's going to take over? Who's going to fill those special roles? Who might be the guardian for that particular child? And who would be in charge of their money? There's also what's called a letter of intent. I call it a roadmap. It can be very simple or it can be complex, but it basically is, what are the things that you do each day for your child with special needs? Write them down, because unfortunately at some point you're not going to be around anymore and somebody else is going to have to take over that role. So a letter of intent is kind of a guideline. It's a map of what is needed for that child. It could be something really simple. When my son was young, he used to get seizures, and he had to take medication for that. And the medication was terrible. I tasted it. And so the only way you could get him to take it was to put a little strawberry jam on the end of the spoon, and then he would take it. And if you knew that trick, you were in luck. If you didn't know that trick, you weren't in luck. So those are the type of things that you put on there. Beneficiary designations, most of your assets that are in retirement accounts through work pass through the beneficiary designation. Those include 401ks, IRAs, insurance policies, things like that. It's very important that you not leave money directly to somebody with a special need, because remember the $2,000 rule. If you do that and they're on government benefits, they will immediately lose those benefits, and it takes a while to get them back. So we want to have beneficiaries done the right way. We spend a lot of time talking about that. Jessica does have our special needs workbook on file. If you don't have it, we can email it to you. This is a workbook that kind of allows you to start thinking about all the things I'm talking about. Has to do with all your legal documents up to date, get you organized. What about guardianship? What about financial? How much money do you think you'll need for that child? We have a calculator there that's online that can help you and walk you through that process. That's a tough number to come up with, but you want to have a good start at it. Financial planning is very, very important because once again, you have a very unusual situation. The type of planning we do cannot be done by a general practitioner in financial planning very accurately because it requires working on 2 lifetimes. We have to make sure you're okay as parents, because you're not okay, you don't have enough money put aside for retirement planning purposes. That's not going to work. And then we have to have the magic number at the end, what's supposed to be left over, because that has to cover the child's special needs for the rest of their life. So some solutions to that are permanent life insurance. That is a very, very common solution with about 70% of families. There's a policy called Second to Die, and that policy basically is on both parents' lives. And so it doesn't kick in until they're both gone. It's permanent insurance, so that it would be insurance that couldn't go away, so it's not term, it's whole life insurance. But the beauty of that is for a small amount of money, you control a lot. And so that in many cases with families with special needs, they will take that money and I'll have it directed directly towards their special needs trust. Investment management is also important, which we'll talk about in a couple seconds. And then the new ABLE accounts, 529 accounts, those are available. We were blessed to be able to testify from the U.S. Senate to get some of those laws passed. We're huge proponents of that. ABLE works a lot like the old 529 college plan, except it's specifically available for people with special needs. And there's lots of details on it. If you email me, I can send you a link to a website that has a great summary of all the ABLE accounts in the whole country, kind of how they all work. It basically allows you to put money aside in a tax-deferred manner. The money grows free from taxes. Money is not included as an asset eligible for looking at for Medicaid and Medicare purposes. So it's a safe harbor, a safe place to have the money, and you can have a good amount of money in there. So that's a very good plan, and that is fairly new. So one of the questions we always ask is, who's going to do what? So who's going to take care of the child? Who's going to watch the child after you're no longer around to be able to do that? That would be somebody that's responsible. Will there be adequate financial resources available? So how does that all work? Those are the number crunching that we can do. And what about a dedicated team to help? Somebody that looks at medical, somebody looks at advocacy for your child, somebody's looking at living arrangements and legal. Once again, we kind of call ourselves a quarterback of your advocacy team. The legal part of it is not just a general practitioner lawyer that does just wills and power of attorney and medical care directives. You have to have somebody that's a specialist. That's what they do for a living. They understand that. Advocacy is very, very important. There's lots of different groups in our area. Luckily, we're a very progressive area and we have lots of resources available in that situation. And then living arrangements. And then move to a group home. How would that work out? There's lots of ones that are being opened right now. And of course, legal we've talked about. Your lifestyle should take account not only your future, but your child's as well. So once again, there's plenty for 2 lifetimes. We want to make sure that we have the right specialists to do that. We want to really leave behind a roadmap for that. And then how would your child's quality of life change if you no longer provided these funds? This is the scary part. You've done some saving, but you're behind. I've done this for a long time. We can get you there. We can get you to the end goal if you do what we tell you to do as far as saving. How much of your estate you need to save for your child's care. I'll give you a quick rule of thumb. This is a scary number. If you wanted to generate $50,000 a year to support your child, it would take about $1 million worth of assets. So if it's a couple $100,000 worth of child care, obviously there's a significant amount of money needs to be saved. And how confident are you in your own retirement plans that you're on track? We can help look at that. We offer complimentary meetings. We sit down with you and look at your situation and see where you are and where you kind of need to be. And have you made adequate preparations for your child's lifetime care? Few families with disabilities have a financial strategy in place. Very important to have a strategy. And if you don't have a strategy and something happens to you, it's tragic because the government can take over and make decisions. Child might be in a situation where they're not where they want to be. It's because they don't have enough money put aside. Might be that you have to go and medicate that facilities, which may not be your best choice. So that's important. And why we worry about all this is because parents are getting older and many people with disabilities are still living at home. I think the number is 70% of children with disabilities still live with their parents. They call it basement kids. And so as that happens and as you can't do as much anymore as you used to do in the past, it becomes more and more important that you have a plan in place with the future. Who else can help take over for you? And then where are all your resources? I do a whole seminar series on finding gold for families with special needs. So where can you look? You can look towards your family. Does anybody want to help? A lot of cases they do. Very important to have them help, not directly where the money is going directly to the child, but once again going into the special needs trust. You look at current assets, your 401k, insurance policies, investments. Grants are available for some of these programs. Waivers will lower your expenses. Government programs like SSI, Enable, and SSDI are all different choices that would help with the funding part of it. And then you're building a team. And so we want to be the quarterback of your team, but you need a trustee, you need a care manager, you need a residential coordinator, somebody looks at insurance, financial advisor, trust company to run the money because it has to be, you're not around anymore, so somebody's got to handle the finances. And as we talked about, that special needs attorney that knows that area can really help you. And this is a family-focused strategy. A good financial plan can be this the foundation for your success. You want to include the entire family. My son is not highly functional, but he knows what's going on, so I try to make sure he's aware of what we're trying to do. Include the team in the discussions. Start as early as possible. It's never too late. If I get to you early or if somebody like me gets to you early, it's very helpful because money takes time to grow. And so if we have a deficit and we need to get there, the earlier you start, the better. There's all kinds of programs available to really get you on track. As I mentioned, we do have a workbook. Jessica does have a copy of that. If we don't have it available, we can email it to you. It covers, expected income from the child, annual expenses, number of years until retirement, projects the years of income for the child, projects life expectancy of the child. There's a worksheet in there, so it's pretty comprehensive and will make you feel really good when you're done. Kind of gives you an idea of where you're starting from and where you need to be in the future. And then I do ask the question, do you work with a professional? Make sure that they really do this for a living. That's what they do. There's actually not many of us in the entire country that are special needs financial advisors. We have special designations. We have special training. We have professional designations, just like a CFP would for their practice. Does that professional know that you have a child with special needs? A lot of times, almost every day, I hear a story where a client says, my financial advisor doesn't even know we have a child with special needs. Or he might know, or she might know, but has not made any changes in the portfolio or changes in beneficiary designations or funding for special needs trust or any of those sort of things. So this is a specialty. You need to have somebody that really knows that area well. We need to make sure that they take those needs into account in the planning. And that includes everybody, your legal planning, your financial planning, and of course, your life planning. And then it's important to understand the fees you're paying. We actually look at your portfolio and talk about the fact that you know what you're paying in fees. Are your goals articulated? Are you on track to reach your goals? Because once again, we need to make sure the parents are okay, because if they're not okay, the child with special needs is not okay either. And are you aware of alternative funding options for future needs? We talked about insurance policies. That's one really good method where a small amount of money can really control a lot. And you get organized. Look at your beneficiary designations. You have a 401k at work, you have a designation. You work for a nonprofit organization like a school, like Jessica, you probably have a 403B or some kind of plan like that. Is everything correct? We call ourselves, you know, we make sure we sit down with our clients that all that is taken care of. You know, don't assume anything. You know, educate outside of your family. Understand how different assets will pass to the next generation. You know, talk to your kids. I do a whole seminar series on your kids aren't equal. So my daughter, who's older than my son, and she is doing well. She has a good job. We educate her well, spend a lot of money to do that. She's going to be great, hopefully. My son, not so much. He's going to have a tough life. And so when you're thinking about legal planning and where money goes, your kids probably aren't equal. And so the child with special needs might need more. How do you do that? Making sure everybody in the family kind of understands why that's a situation, why you've made that decision. Waiting can definitely increase significant issues. For instance, if you wait too long, it's very difficult. I need you to work a lot longer, which you're not going to like to hear, or save significantly more money. Waiting can cost you money. Waiting might make you ineligible for some funding options. That's not good. And I always say waiting is just not fair to your family. You know, if you're a parent of special needs kids or children or child, it's important that you do these things. I've given the talk at St. Coletta's for many, many years. I see a lot of the same people there, which is great. But don't wait, get at it, start acting. And that's the pitfalls we don't act. You know, it can be difficult. So usually in a live presentation, we'd have questions, which we won't, but I can give you my contact information and you can definitely email me or call me. It's Mark Friese, F-R-I-E-S-E. My phone number is 202-659-6138. My email address is mark, M-A-R-K, little underscore sign, and then F-R-I-E-S-E @ml.com. And we're happy to help. We don't charge anything for a call. Don't be bashful about it. If I can't help you directly, I can find somebody that can. I know lots of contacts. I call myself the Rolodex expert, kind of old school. But I know where people are and who can help, and that covers lots of different areas. So, Jessica, thanks for having me today. Hopefully this is helpful. In a virtual world, I miss all the people in the audience like we normally have, and people asking questions and hooping and hollering. But hopefully by next year, that'll be the situation. That doesn't happen again, and I wish the best for St. Coletta, and the situation is difficult for everybody.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us and sharing the information the best way we can. And I know our parents get so much out of this, so thank you again.
You guys are more than welcome.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Afternoon.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.